This video covers participles in English. The source material from this is the Purdue Online Writing Lab. A participle is a verbal adjective, meaning it is an adjective that comes from a verb. It ends in ing or ed. In English, there are two main types: the present participle, which ends in ing, and the past participle, which ends in ed, en, d, t, n, or any, like asked, eaten, saved, dealt, seen, or gone. Here's some example. The crying baby had a wet diaper. Crying modifies baby. Shaken, he walked, so he is shaken. The burning log fell off the fire. Smiling, she hugged the panting dog. Those are all examples of participles. A participial phrase is a group of words consisting of a participle, the modifiers, and/or nouns, pronouns, noun phrases that function as direct objects, indirect objects, or complements of the action expressed in the participles. So this is what can make participles hard, is that they can have their own objects or prepositional phrases associated with them. This also makes them difficult in Latin. So, removing his coat, Jack rushed to the river. So removing is the participle that modifies Jack. His coat is the object of removing. Here's some more examples. Dolores noticed her cousin walking along the shoreline. Again, walking modifies cousin is the participle, and it has the prepositional phrase along the shoreline that goes with it. Children interested in music early develop strong intellectual skills. So again, music is the object of the participle. Early is an adverb that also goes with interested. Having been a gymnast, Lynn knew the great importance of exercise. So having been is a participle modifying Lynn. A gymnast would be the subject complement of that. In order to prevent confusion, a participle phrase must be placed as close to the noun as possible as it modifies, and the noun must be clearly stated. This is not the case in Latin, and you'll find this confusing later on when we do Latin participles. In this first sentence, carrying a heavy pile of books, his foot got caught on the step. There is no clear indication of who or what is performing the action expressed in the participle carrying. Certainly the foot can't be logically understood to function in this way. This situation is an example of what's called a dangling modifier error. Since the modifier, the participle phrase, is not modifying any specific noun in the sentence, and is thus left dangling. Since a person must be doing the carrying for this sentence to make sense, a noun or pronoun that refers to the person must be placed immediately after the participial phrase, as in the second sentence. Carrying a heavy pile of books, he caught his foot on the step. Punctuation in English. So when a participle is at the beginning of a sentence, a comma should be placed after the phrase. So, arriving at the store, washing and polishing the car, there's your comma. If the participle phrase is in the middle of the sentence, and the participle phrase is non-essential, it should be separated out by commas. However, if it is essential, notice there are no commas around it. And lastly, if the participle phrase comes at the end of the sentence, a comma usually precedes the phrase if it modifies an earlier word. So like here, Tom being alarmed, but if it's modifying a word that comes right before it preceding, there isn't a comma. Here's some points to remember. A participle is a verbal adjective ending in ing, ed, en, d, t, n, or n that functions as an adjective modifying a noun or pronoun. A participle phrase can consist of a participle plus its modifiers, objects, and/or complements. Participles and participle phrase must be placed close to the nouns or pronouns they modify as possible, and so this needs to be clearly stated. So in Latin, this is something you'll find difficult, and a participle phrase is set off by commas when it comes at the beginning of a sentence, interrupts a sentence, and is non-essential, and it comes at the end of a sentence and is separated from the word it modifies.